Previously on the business.
Yes, but it's good to see you in studio this morning. Mel Attree, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
We're talking social media and all things digital this morning. Mel is, of course, our resident expert, and we love our chat with Mel. Let's start with a big story this morning. Facebook have given in and spent $19 billion to buy WhatsApp. What's your take on that?
What? When did this happen? Okay, so again, I remember when we spoke about Facebook buying Instagram.
Yeah.
And all the people that were losing their rags online because how dare they buy Instagram? They're taking away our freedom. We're going to boycott the platform, and while posting pictures on Instagram that day. Same thing as today. I found it quite amusing that I've discussed most of this transaction using WhatsApp.
Right.
This morning, which the irony does not escape me at all.
Yeah.
Listen, you know what? It's quite weird. People seem to think, how can they take it away from us? It's our platform. We're the ones that made all the money for you. Yes, okay, you spent 99 cents. That's great. It's part of the process. It's business. Businesses build up. They have an exit plan and they get bought. The issue is going to be going forward is what is Facebook going to do with WhatsApp? And I think that's what everyone's
petrified.
Kind of freaking about. If adverts start crawling into my stream or I start getting spammed with people it's bad enough as it is that you've got some of those idiots that send kind of specials to all. You know, you can buy Christmas cakes like to everyone. If that starts becoming a commercial kind of prospect, that's a real kind of issue. The biggest thing, the funniest thing that I heard this morning is that apparently the guy that founded WhatsApp applied for a job at Facebook some time ago, and they turned him down.
Really?
Yes.
$19 billion later?
Yeah, so that's quite an interesting little story. So we'll have to see. Time will tell. It is a really powerful platform, you know. It is the most powerful platform. And now, obviously, there's this discussion today of everyone kind of saying, what is this WeChat? Let's try WeChat, you know. Anyway, everyone sells at the end of the day. People are in this to make money. This is not a free lunch.
I downloaded WeChat.
Yeah, I've tried WeChat.
After 9 million adverts being shot in my face, and billboards, etc. I actually thought, okay, I'll download WeChat and give it a go. And I took it off my phone within 24 hours because there was immediately I started getting spam messages.
Yeah,
WeChat sits as part of the Naspers stable. It's linked to Tencent in China. So, that's Naspers making a very concerted effort
to take
by
on
throwing
WhatsApp.
above the line money into advertising to take on WhatsApp. But as you say, you know, the advertising is just something that is going to put people off.
I took it off my phone.
And I totally agree with Mel, as we said earlier. I think it is really about whether you're going to start getting advertising in your face, which could see Facebook Messenger usage go up. There are those analysts who are saying that this is Zuckerberg's move to expand the portfolio and he'll leave WhatsApp as this mobile messaging thing. And we know that the founders of WhatsApp have resisted advertising from day one.
Good for them.
So I'm pretty sure there is something in the agreement that at the very least prevents that kind of thing happening for a minimum period of time. Down the line, it might change. From my perspective, I think he was just taking out the competition.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, he's buying as much kind of eyeball real estate as possible. I think that's the case. It's interesting you mentioned Naspers there. I was thinking about it this morning as well. I would far prefer it if we actually started thinking about who's buying other things as well. You know, like media houses taking over media houses. These are people who have control. They filter the information that you're exposed to on a daily basis, but nobody seems to give a crap about that. You know, so the priorities seem to be a little bit out of whack.
Very, very
anyway,
interesting.
Listen, it's a lot of money for 36 guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
38 years old and 42 years old.
And 36 employees, I think it was.
Billionaires overnight.
Power to them. All good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
And you know what? The amount of times that I've used WhatsApp, the amount of times that I use WhatsApp, it's my number one go-to messenger app. It's possibly the second most used app on my phone. I love WhatsApp. So in my eyes, they can do nothing wrong. Mark Zuckerberg, just don't mess it up, please. Please don't mess it up.
Indeed, yes.
What else we got, Mel?
This week again, there's kind of been, there's just a lot of angry people online at the moment.
Sure.
Started last week.
I feel like we need to
I
send some
agree.
people kind of to the naughty corner to think about kind of what they're doing on social media and to get their stuff together.
Imagine what they'll feel like by June this year.
Yeah, I'm really worried that people are heading for a massive kind of burnout.
Yeah.
People are looking for fights every
Yeah.
single day. Obviously, we saw yesterday that the kind of initial court hearings about the Oscar trial with regards to filming and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting. And I mean, I think a lot of that stuff is going to be in the feed. So if if you need to filter out that stuff, start using apps that help you kind of filter out hashtags and that kind of thing as well, because your feed is going to be full of Oscar kind of trial updates, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, that's been pretty interesting this week. Apart from that, I saw some interesting kind of campaigns this week, or some interesting use of tech, which I quite liked. There's a website called digiday.com. If you want to know anything about digital, who's doing what, campaigns, that kind of thing, it's a great read. It's one of my daily reads. And I saw that Ford are doing some quite nice work with Vine. I think Vine is one of those social networks that we kind of forgot about when Instagram launched their video. And I love the fact that Ford are releasing short Vine videos to promote their cars. But they're using influencers to do that for them. And this raises a really important point from a business marketing point of view, from a social point of view. You don't always have to control the entire conversation. You don't have to own everything that you do. In fact, I think it's preferable if you don't sometimes. So they said, okay, cool, this is Ford in the States, obviously. They said, here are the top 4 kind of Vine users, and they've each got quirky kind of things that they do. We want them each to kind of do some Ford product placement, I suppose it is, and create some cool videos for us. And then they will post them on their channels, and then Ford will repost them on their channels. This is a really important
That's
thing for me.
exactly what
This is how
we're
it should
trying to
be.
get. Exactly.
So
yeah.
let go control, understand that the community and the influencers and people that are using the platforms are sometimes bigger than you are, and stop trying to control everything in
very
this
clever.
90s kind of marketing way.
Well, the
and give it
traditional
up to the-
marketing way,
Yes,
that's probably,
yes.
that's where the control comes from, because you
Absolutely.
controlled that TV message
Yeah.
and we just sat back passively and consumed it.
No, and I really, really love the work that's come out of that. It's funny, it's amusing, it doesn't mess with the influencer's initial way of making Vine videos. It fits in, so it blends seamlessly, so
Organic.
it doesn't seem like, they're just kind of promoting something out the blue. I really like that as an example. I don't have the link, I can find it for you, but it was on DigiDay this week, and that's one of it's a real lesson, I think, especially for smaller, medium-sized business owners. Don't be scared to let the community or influencers help do your work for you.
Yeah.
You'll ultimately get more share of voice anyway at the end of the day.
It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yes.
Instead of trying to control micromanage every step of the way.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting, and you end up compromising on quality of creativity, I think, ultimately.
It's also about, I think we get too hooked on branding. We kind of feel that we have to build this destination, a website, a Facebook page, etc., and people will come. And in fact, digital media works in exactly the opposite way. You need to get out there, as Mel says, and it'll just happen naturally. So building a website and investing a fortune and thinking everybody's going to come to your website. Some brands, yes, they will, because the brand lends itself to that kind of information sharing. But a lot of brands, I have absolutely no interest in going to their website. So they have to find me and fit into my patterns of behavior.
100%.
And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about how people actually find information on the web and try and sort through all the jumble that is out there and try and aggregate stuff effectively for themselves so that they can read what they want to read. So just kind of looked at a couple of apps and ways of finding and aggregating content. And it's been interesting to see how things have changed over the past kind of couple of years. If you were using Google quite some time ago, you possibly would have used something like Google Reader with RSS.
Yep.
I still miss Google Reader.
So do I.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I know there's I think Feedly is a quite suitable replacement, but it's still not the same.
Yep.
So where you would filter in RSS feeds, you could aggregate them according to different folders and what you wanted. Anyway, so a lot of people using greater apps like Flipboard is probably the one of the widest used with regards to iPads and that kind of thing. And Flipboard allows you to tick off certain areas of interest. So I'm interested in sport, technology, green environmental technology, and food recipes, for example. And every day you'll get content that's aggregated for you according to those descriptions, and it will be sent down to your Flipboard, and it looks really pretty, and you can scroll through it. Zite is another one that is similar to Flipboard, also works quite nicely on iPhone and iPad. And then what's happened, though, is that I asked the question this morning on Twitter, and I see that less people are using Instapaper and Zite. It went through a very high kind of usage period, and now people just seem to be kind of just sharing links. And what's happening is, I've always had this debate about the Twitter favorite function. So for me, a lot of people are using the favorite function on Twitter as a read it later. So if I see something in my Twitter feed I think is cool, I favorite it. And then when I've got time later on, I can click through to my favorites and I can see all the links that I've missed.
Where do you find your favorites on a mobile phone?
You go to your profile and then you go down and you go to it says following followers. You must go past that, Ian.
Right.
And then it says
a little
favorites
star.
at the bottom.
I've favorited a lot of tweets, and I just imagine that they went into the ether, to be perfectly honest.
They exist
Right.
and they're on your profile
I'm
and they
gonna
do
check.
stay there and they're also public. I need to remind people sometimes
that's
that your
cool.
favorites
Yeah,
are
yeah.
public. No, well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, some
Depends
people.
what your favorites are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people have
Just
some.
deleting a favorite quickly.
Some people have some pretty funky favorites.
Yeah.
So they are public, but because the thing is that people said, "Oh, but favoriting is for that is my favorite." No, it's not. Favoriting is being used as a read it later, or often by brands. It's being used to follow up on possible customer service complaints.
Okay.
So that's quite interesting as well. Twitter also has a read it later functionality built into the settings. I still use a read it later function called Instapaper. Instapaper it looks really boring, but it syncs across all my devices. I can do it with one click, and then it means that I just can categorize all of the favorite links that I found on the web. And put them into folders and that kind of thing. Especially useful if you're researching stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Pretty similar to what Evernote does as well.
Exactly.
Yep.
Evernote would kind of fit in with there.
Yep.
Another one a lot of people are using at the moment is called Pocket. Pocket is being used by a lot of guys that use iPhone, and that you can link back to Twitter as well. So you can read it later, it'll save it in your Pocket, and then you can click into your Pocket and read all the articles later on. Because otherwise people just can't find stuff on the internet, and there's so much information, and you want to be able to curate stuff in a way that you know it's coming from the right channels. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I think it was like about 7 years ago or so. I think it was 1 out of 4 Google searches were for Google.
You mean on
Yeah.
Google? They were actually
Yeah.
on
The
Google.
website.
Yeah, and I'd be very surprised
That's
actually if that's changed significantly since
Wow.
then, because I don't think
We
it
should
has.
go check out
Yeah.
those keyword results
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah. Shame. I mean, people just don't know how to find stuff. You know, we've got to
That's
make it easier for
hilarious.
them.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Which means, it kind of comes back to brands as well. If as a brand you are involved in a specific, or as a business, you're involved in a specific area where you have thought leadership on something, or you have, say it's environmental, you want to be able to curate and aggregate all of those links around the web. It's well worth doing that, and as a part of your Twitter account or your Facebook or your blog or whatever, devote at least 30% of your content to aggregating stuff that you know your community will find useful,
yep.
because it helps them find stuff.
And you become sticky as a user.
Become their
Exactly.
butler, essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also think it's not really on the topic, but it is around the topic. I just think Google has some wonderful functions nowadays with analytics, and they're available for free on the web. If you just take the time to go and research, there are lists of things that have been searched within area specific. So you can drill down to Sandton, for example, or Fishhook in Cape Town, or Umhlanga, and go and see what people in that locale area, that area are searching for. And that's something which, again, can feed back into that. You can feed back into the system because it's invaluable, and it's all free.
And just give people what they need. And if you don't know what they need, just ask them what they need.
Yeah, for sure.
In life, really.
Those are very good, very good pointers. I love that. Mel, I want to ask you about two things. We spoke about Flappy Bird last week. We all had a laugh about it. It's gone. He stopped making money, poor sucker. Someone's going to still buy
No,
him.
but listen, the people that have got the app is still running.
No, I know that.
I
but they
thought
don't have
about this
updates.
afterwards, though.
Yeah.
So
No, sure.
so the ads will still be running in those apps. So believe me, I think he's still making
money.
Yeah.
Then yesterday, we came across the story that King, who is the creator of Candy Crush, are planning to list. They're planning to list on the stock exchange, and I wanted your thoughts on that because I know that you're a big Candy Crush Saga fan.
No.
And I'm teasing, and I just wanted to know what your thoughts are with games and the longevity of this going forward.
I think, sure, it's an interesting one here because, I mean, Angry Birds is still making Angry Birds, I suppose, in different kind of iterations. But there is a point at which it becomes
Boring.
a little bit boring, or it becomes copied by someone else and adapted and made kind of better. I think the same has to be said for games. Candy Crush, listen, I said last week, not even once. I haven't touched it. I know the premise of it. And I just think games have a life cycle. But if you are, as a game producing outfit, if you're as good as you think you are, then you should be able to list because you're creating stuff that makes money at the end of the day.
Well, as Astrid quite rightly pointed out, you're only as good as your last game, and Candy Crush is the one that's at the top of the list at the moment. Look at a company like Zynga, who started Facebook games. They were the hot flavor for years, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. They ran out of money.
Listen, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say, actually. That's the nature of this kind of... It's the nature of anything to do with creativity or producing, if you're producing anything.
Yeah.
It reminds me, there's a really cool... So Elizabeth Gilbert that wrote Eat, Pray, Love,
Yep.
she has a very cool TED Talk, actually, on this very premise, because she said after she'd written Eat, Pray, Love, and it went crazy, she was like, oh...
The pressure.
What now? I have nothing left. My creativity is
It's
gone.
done. Yeah.
And she's very frank about it. It's a really cool TED Talk. It's worth listening to. But I think that principle applies to everyone. You're only as good as your last whatever you've done.
Maybe you want to find that interview. We'll pop it up at balls.co.za. Are you cool with that, Kriya? Thank you. And the final thing, which I wanted to talk about, which is actually a video. This is interesting marketing. Yesterday we were going to talk about the story, and we unfortunately ran out of time. It's an advert using two local celebrities, well-known faces, for a hair care product, and it's got over 5 million views online. Would you like to have a look at it? I'd like your thoughts.
Sure.
This is for the Schwarzkopf range of products. Have a listen. Listen to this.
It's gone viral, yeah?
Yeah, totally. Gone absolutely crazy.
Your smile, your eyes, your stubborn curl that you've got from your dad and that he got from his mum. How you look like when you listen to me and when you're trying to ignore me. The way you laugh about bad jokes and hide yourself when you're sad. The way you look before you kiss me. And when you say, I love you. You have really strict principles, but only to drop them. In your wonderful world, order and chaos is no contradiction at all. I've known you for so many years, but still you surprise me. Every morning, you really test my nerves. For all of that, I love you.
There you go. So that's a hair care advert.
Okay. Can we talk about this quickly? What channel is that on? Who's published that? What channel is it? Is it a local channel? Or
That
an
is
international?
from that's just from some random viewer.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's a couple of things. Okay, it's pretty emotional. I mean, it's really beautifully shot.
It is beautifully shot.
They're beautiful people.
It's
so
a mini movie.
if we're looking at it, is a mini movie, which is what we should be doing in terms of online stuff. However,
I'm
and
dying to hear this. Yeah.
I don't want to be shot, but 5 million views for an advert like that.
Exactly
For
where
me,
I'm coming from, yeah.
doesn't quite gel unless they're using a global. They're reaching into their global
It's an
networks.
international ad.
They might have bought some of those views, which we know happens. That's what you want to
Please,
say.
I'm going to get shot when I walk out of here. But
I'm
I'm thinking,
dying,
are we
yeah.
looking at an Indian click farm? Because I mean, that's kind of the things that I start thinking.
Indian
I know how
click
hard it
farm.
is to get 5 million views
Yeah.
on a video.
Yeah.
The Woolies tribute to Mandela, I think we reached about 4.8, and I helped the guys kind of with that a little bit, in terms of pitching to the right people.
That's
Right.
Mandela.
So if they've
yeah.
had, I don't know, it depends.
It
It's
is
beautiful
It
though.
is an
Listen,
international ad, though.
it's a beautiful piece
Yeah.
of, creative. It's really great. International, but also, I mean, Korea, some of the biggest international stuff is
Yeah.
not getting 5 million,
True as well.
We still think that masses of people are doing all the social stuff. That, in terms of the ratio, with regards to the bigger kind of people that are using with it's, or they're advertising. If they're advertising the ad, that's fine. If they're putting money behind it, so be it.
Sure, sure.
But it's a beautiful ad. It's beautifully shot.
And of course, it was released over Valentine's Day. So
Yes, it's a beautiful ad, but there are a lot of beautiful ads. There are a lot of people getting it
Absolutely.
right, telling lovely stories in their advertising. We spoke about
Yeah.
this the other day.
Yeah.
I'm totally with Mel on this.
Listen,
I don't get it.
call
I
me a
don't see why that
skeptic,
would justify 5 million
Call me a
views.
skeptic, but you know what? All power to them. But I mean, also if they're advertising the ad, that's fine. They've got, if it's international, they've got international revenue to put behind it.
Sure.
Then it may well be possible.
I
Who
love your
knows?
reaction to that. That's exactly what I wanted.
It's already up on the website, so if you want to go check it out, you can. We put it
Fantastic.
up already.
Fantastic. Anything else before we say goodbye?
No, not really.
All right,
Just
fantastic.
everyone, just try and be a bit happier on social networks. Let's try and do that for a while.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. You can find Mel on Twitter at Mel Attree. That's MELATTREE. It's been really fun having you in studio again, and we look forward to it next week, Mel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's The Business, brought to you by F&B Business Banking.
The Business on balls.co.za. Brought to you by FNB Business Banking.